Raz, what's up? Figured it's gonna be a short one tonight. Only a jar and a half, maybe. And then my jars are actually completely empty. Actually, I might grab a handful of wheat pennies out of the wheat penny bag just to do some of those because I got to do some of those every now and then. They can't all go for. Yeah, no. I mean, well, a lot of them do, but no, you're right. They can't all go for them. Maybe we'll find something nice here in the 80s or 70s. I only got 80s and 70s to do for nickels tonight. And then the nickels are done. I was going to say, that's kind of a nice looking one there. If it wasn't for that dark spot. And that. How's the focus look? Oh, right there is about as good as it's going to get. I think there's a lot of coin guys streaming tonight. At least I saw a couple that I follow. Looked like they're live when I checked my feed. With it being 80s and 70s, we're going to be looking at quite a bit of circulation, I think. But maybe we'll come out with a die chip or two. Or something on the nice side that could be a saver. That could be some. That could be some die deterioration. Definitely looks like it. And in my opinion, the 80s just are not a very good struck nickel. What are you up to tonight, Raz? Nothing special? Subcategories? I guess, what do you mean? Like, what are some of the things we're looking for that I look for? Oh no, nope. So like, well, you've been around a couple of the coin roll hunt streams where I do a couple of each type of coin. And then anything that doesn't get pulled out essentially as like a keeper from the hunt just goes in one of the jars, one of the decade jars. So it's like if it's a 1992 that really has no reason for me to keep it because it's not old or anything, it'll go in the 1990s jar, and then the jar is just what I pull from to do a scoping stream like this. And I go through the jar some just to see if there's something on that coin that wasn't essentially looked at the day it was busted out of a roll, you know. Because if it's not an old coin or some type of hit, then it just goes into the jar. And then at some point later on, it gets thrown on the stream like this, which is just going through and tossing them under the scope quick to see if there's something small that, you know, was missed that could make it a keeper. I don't know. My whole system's kind of hard to explain. I guess it works for me. There's a lot of guys on YouTube that don't even do what I do. They don't even look at the coins like I look at them. You know, like every single coin at some point it hits the scope. A lot of guys don't do that. They'll just hunt the roll. They'll take whatever the hits are, and then the rest of the coins essentially they just get thrown right back into a big bucket, and they re-roll them and take them back to the bank. You know, so they're not looking at some of the smaller anomalies that I'm kind of looking for. What do I do with it? So I hunt nickel rolls, penny rolls, quarter rolls, and then dollar rolls. And what I do with the hits from the year, so like this coin album is essentially what would be the penny hits. And I'll flip it, and the top will be the coin roll date that I did the hunt, and then the bottom is the date and the mintage. I probably kept that 74D just because, I mean, it's 4 billion mintage, but that was probably a keep because it's a 1974 and it's in excellent condition. So that was a hit that a lot of times a coin like that won't get pulled on the initial hunt. It'll go into the jar and then maybe get pulled out of the jar in one of these scope screens. And then I got a nickel album, which holds all essentially what I consider hits out of the nickels. And the nickel album's always going to be probably farther along, because most of the time when I do a hunting stream, it'll be 4 nickel rolls, 3 pennies, 2 quarters, and $1. So the nickels are always going to have more hits through the year, actually. And then this is a $1 album. So these are my, essentially what at the time of cracking the roll is a hit. And then anything that wasn't a hit, you can kind of see the first row and a half of jars here. Whatever wasn't a hit in the hunt gets sorted through, thrown in the right jar for a particular decade, and then at some point I hit a stream like this and scope them for, you know, a die chip or a die crack or something that's a small anomaly that, you know, wasn't seen at the time of cracking the roll open. So it's kind of like I got 2 different type of streams I'll do. And I kind of set it up to where you'll be able to tell what kind of stream it is by the thumbnail of the video on the channel page. Because if it's a scoping stream where I'm going to be going through some of the jarred coins, it'll be like tonight's got a nickel up in the right hand corner and then like a nickel shown on the scope. And then if it's a hunt stream where I'm going to actually be cracking rolls, it'll say something about it'll be a coin roll hunt. I don't know. I'm still kind of developing this whole going live on YouTube thing. And the room's usually pretty quiet, you know, which is cool. I'm not complaining. I will always say I would rather have 1, 2, 3 people hanging out that, you know, I'm just chatting with than a room full of people where the chat goes so quick you can't even read it. I mean, I don't know. It doesn't seem like that's an area I ever really want to get to. I want laid back streams and just have fun and chit chat. Well, you've been in here where we haven't even talked about coins, you know. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. And, you know, term initial separation. But like now, this coin I'm looking at here, it's an 81 Philly, you know. So I give it a spin on the scope. I mean, like I said 5 minutes ago, we're going to be looking at a lot of circulation tonight because they're 70s and 80s. But if I don't find anything with a spin on the scope, then essentially it goes to where at some point I'm going to re-roll it and turn it back into the bank for more coin. And on the older stuff, you get you usually got so much circulation wear on them that finding double dies are going to be pretty tricky because of the wear on most of what you're looking at. But you can easily find die cracks and die chips and just other anomalies that are going to make the coin maybe savable. At least for me, the way I collect. Or maybe a coin I throw up on the Whatnot page is, somebody can buy it if they want for $2. Or it's something that goes to what I call my PC or personal collection that I'm going to hang on to until who knows when. I definitely do not collect for the financial benefit like some people do. And to me that's really not even collecting. That's more being a flipper or a reseller. If you're in it for the financial game, you're really not a collector. You're a reseller or you're a flipper. If that's your focus, is making a buck. Yeah. That's no joke. You're right. There's my hourly rate really sucks. No, there in all reality, you don't even have an hourly rate. That's the last metric you would ever want to look at. But like true resellers and flippers, they definitely look at like that type of metric, because if that's what you're in it for, time is money. Granted, I might make a buck or two on a Whatnot sale, but I don't go live on Whatnot a lot. I usually just have like a marketplace that's on the website, and occasionally something will sell, whether it's a coin or a card or something like that. But I don't concentrate on going live a lot. I would rather go live here on YouTube looking at coins than sit for 4 hours on Whatnot trying to make a handful of sales. But like I said, occasionally something will sell on the Whatnot marketplace, after I post it. But even like some of the stuff that I'm looking for is only going to sell for $2-3 at the most. A die chip is really not a collectible thing. Unless it's a really big die chip or it's a well-known die chip on like one of the quarters or something that, certain people actually chase. Then you can probably get a little bit more, for for a die chip or a die crack. But there really is there's no money to be made in die cracks and die chips. It's on the mint air side. It's finding the right double die. Whether it's on the obverse or the reverse, but like a true mint double die specimen. But even at that, you need to find it on a decent coin, not one that's got 40 years of circulation on it, to be able to even look at it and be like, yeah, that looks like it's probably the double die version of it. Like I found a nickel a while back where on this word Monticello, like this C is almost completely gone, and the rest of the lettering is very well struck and it's defined, but that C is like it was like it was never there, which essentially, means that when they struck the reverse of this coin, there was probably grease or something on the die in that area. So the C never really got a strike, and that's just an oddball anomaly that is kind of cool to find. Now the right person or the right collector, may pay $3 for something like that just to have it, but it's not a $20 find. But when you look at like the return on investment from a nickel to $3, that's a pretty good. If you're worried about your flip ratio, you turned a nickel into $3. You are exactly right. And really, I think it's cool because you can approach the hobby however you want to approach the hobby. And you can be any type of collector you want to be. Like I said, there's a lot of guys that don't look at these run-of-the-mill coins as close as I do by putting them under the scope. They go right back into their return to the bank stock. Because it is time consuming to do the way I do it, but I mean, I don't mind it either, kind of have a little bit of time on my hands to just do this and stuff. My kids are older, and stuff. I don't have to be babysitting, and so my life is allowing me to kind of look at the details a little bit more of the coins than just look for that 1940s or 1950s coin that comes out of the roll and say, oh, there's the hit for that, and then dump the rest of them. But it is cool how you can kind of just develop how you want to interact with the hobby. And really, none of it's wrong. Yeah, or you could just be a Morgan collector. Exactly. That goes back to what you just said. There's so many rabbit holes in the hobby. And maybe not even calling them rabbit holes. There's just so many different ways to be involved in it. And no one way is right or wrong, It's like you do you. I do me. And I think people that kind of knock on other people because of what they collect or the way they collect or something, it's just kind of goofy to do, you know. But commemorative hats, yep. I mean, you could literally break down the hobby in thousands of different. This is your focus for being a coin collector. You know, like one coin that I particularly don't do anything with is I don't do anything with dimes. You know, I mean, so like if I find a dime for some reason that is, you know, let's say I find a proof dime. Well, number one, I'm never gonna hunt dime rolls, so I don't pick up dime rolls from the bank to hunt. So I won't find it in a roll. But let's say I find some type of dime in my wife's pocket change or something that she gives me once a month or something from the bottom of her purse, and that dime has some type of collectability to it. I can guarantee you I'm putting that dime on Whatnot, because I have no desire to be in the dime game of the hobby. And I will say, dimes are the full bands. You know, when you look at grading standards, I will say the more you look at coins, the more you learn. You know, and the more you start to understand what you're looking at, and what you're looking for. You know, and what you start to get better and better at, like, determining what is an actual anomaly, whether it's a die chip or a die crack or, you know, a double rim or something, and what's just straight up, you know, post mint damage, you know, or circulation wear or something, you know. Because I watch a lot of people and see a lot of posts in different areas, you know, where they're like, I think this is that. And it's like, number one, the coin's too circulated to speculate that that's what you have. Or it's obvious that it's some type of damage and they're seeing something because they want to see it. So I'm a pretty nitpicky when it comes to, like, saying I found something, especially on the double die front. Because I think you really have to have a nice looking coin to be able to say, oh, you know what, that's double die. Mercury dime is... I prefer the design of the Mercury much more than the Roosevelt. I've always thought the Roosevelt dime was kind of, you know, not that I don't like Roosevelt, I just think the whole design is lacking something. And that's kind of how I feel about, like, Ike, the Ike dollar and stuff. I don't think you were here last night, but Tim and I were talking about how we both can't stand the what is called the shield scent in the newer pennies. That reverse of the penny and that shield design. It was just like, man, that couldn't be a more low effort design that they went with. Roosevelt did? I guess I don't know that. I've never heard that. So is that where the Roosevelt dime design originated from? I've never looked up and read about the Roosevelt dime design like I have some of the other coins. That is why he's on it, huh? Yeah, you're probably right. I probably, I'm turning 50 this year, so I probably don't fall in the age range to remember that. I I did not know that was why he was on it. See, you learn something every day. Vaccine didn't even come out until the 50s, huh? I knew it was back then sometime. So how much older than me are you? Put it out for free. Oh, you got 25 on me, huh? Yeah, well then you've definitely seen more than me. I feel it. I feel like I am. More so now than probably 5 years ago, even. I can tell you technology is passing me by. You've probably heard me say it several times on streams and stuff that I'm lucky that I have this working the way it works. I always used to be pretty good at it. But I've recently noticed that it's moving so fast now that a lot of that tech stuff passes me up now, and I don't really even have the desire to learn some of it. You know, like a bunch of even on the phone apps and stuff that like my kids have now and stuff. I'm like, nope. Don't care to have Instagram and don't care to have this. I mean, I'm actually not even doing much on Facebook anymore where I used to a couple years ago. But I also am learning that I am very much now finding myself happier when I'm disconnected from the world, if that makes sense. Don't really care too much about news anymore. Hopelessly analog. In fact, I was just telling my wife tonight, I'm like, a lot of times I'll hit Friday, and I have Friday, Saturday, Sundays off. And a lot of times I'll hit Friday or Thursday night. I'll hit Thursday night. And I'll be like, hey, I'm off tomorrow. I may do a little bit of running around, stop at the coin shop, stop at the comic shop, because I still collect comics and stuff and cards and stuff, and, make a couple stops on Friday. And it has happened now more than I can count where Friday has hit, and I'm like, I don't even want to leave the house. Don't care to go out in public. So I was just telling my wife, I'm like, I was going to go last night. I had the mindset, I'm going to go do some running around today. Make a couple of stops that I like to stop to sometimes, and got to today and just was like, nope, I'm not leaving the house. or I'm not leaving the yard. And I'm finding that now my coin shop stops and stuff like that of things I want to do. Or like Hobby Lobby. I like going into Hobby Lobby because Hobby Lobby has a lot of the coin collecting stuff. But I no longer make a trip to do it. It's like if I have some other reason that forces me in town, in the area, Hobby Lobby waits until I'm there for that reason. And I'm guessing that's just me getting older. You are right. Most of it's all effed up. Yeah, it's just a little. It's a little coin shop. You can buy coins. They got some. He's got some bullion stuff. I think he's got 2 different locations in town. My actual where I live don't. I have to travel about 30 minutes to get to the town that has the coin shop. I mean, we're the actual town I live in, we have our necessities, and like most places now, you got a Walmart, that's 10 minutes away. You got a grocery store and stuff, but there's not a whole lot of those other little type of things in our immediate area. It's good. There's good doubling on this E pluribus unum, but there really is no doubling on this coin that's documented, so it's strike doubling or machine doubling. But you can see it on the inside of the B. See it? It's either machine doubling and strike doubling, or it's a deteriorated die. It's not an actual double die. This is what, an 83 Philly? I don't have any notes that there should be any doubling on an 83 Philly. I have some die clashes above United, but I don't see that at all. Yeah, so where we live, our population, I think, is at 10,000. Is that 10,000? And then when we to get to like the town that has the coin shop and the card shop and Hobby Lobby and stuff like that, it's about a half an hour drive. And I want to say that place has got about 80,000 for population. So we're essentially small compared to half an hour away. And then we have to go 2.5 hours or so south to get to Minneapolis and get to the Minneapolis-St. Paul area. Check the D on this coin. In United or with the delay between the chat and the video, I might be past the coin you're talking about too, so. Or the D in God. Tim was doing that last night too, saying check this, and I was already past the coin he was talking about because of the delay. I think this is the coin I was on before. Oh, the mint mark, the D mint mark. That one? That's what you looked at? I think it got flashed, contacted, if that's the one you're talking about. Kind of smashed and cut. If that's the one you were referring to. That was okay. Yeah, I think that was more of like a smashing kind of where it, at some point just through circulation it got hit with something. Tim got to the point last night where when he was calling out certain things he wanted me to look at because I passed it up or something, he'd always in chat put the date, so I knew which coin I could go back and find the date of the coin I recently looked at, because I would typically sometimes be like 2 coins past. In my real time, I'd be 2 coins past what you guys are seeing in the video, actually. We were talking about how much we both hate the delay between the YouTube video and like essentially chat. It is not too bad, but it's noticeable, especially when you're talking about something that was shown on screen. It ain't bad when it's just conversation between like me and you about whatever, because the delay doesn't mean as much then. But when you're talking about something that was actually like in the visual video, it tends to be pretty bad to reference back and forth. But that's YouTube. I do that about twice a stream. I think I gotta put a coin for it to refocus the color right. I might have. There we go. Now we're back to normal. Yeah, and you pretty much ain't going to see any full steps on any of these. And I'm guessing it's going to get worse when I get to the 70s. I mean, you can still have a nice coin on a grade side and essentially not have full steps. But that full step designation is truly That's what you're shooting for, when you're getting nickels graded. Speaking of grading, I've got to get a couple coins sent in. I got a small pile that I'm slowly piling up that are coins that I want to send in just to see what they come back as. Not that I'm doing it to increase their value or anything, but it's either a coin I just want in a slab for protective reasons, or I'm just curious if I can get a high grade on it. Yes, I'm going to try not to make tonight 4-hour stream. We're only at 58 minutes right now. So. I figured tonight would be a 2.5 hour stream. Just to kind of get through these nickels, maybe a small handful of wheat pennies. Wheat pennies are always fun to look at because you can usually find some nice die chips on the 40s and the 50s. This looked like it had rotation. Not really. Half the time I think something's got rotation, and it's just because I didn't keep it straight on the flip. Pretty good steps there for being an 89. Was it an 89? Or a 98? That's why it looks that much better. It was in the wrong jar. Probably went to throw this in the 90s jar and it hit and it went in the 80s. I was like, wow, that's good steps for a point in the 80s. The 98. That's why it had semi-decent steps. I knew I saw an 8 and a 9. I was a little dyslexic on it. $58, $59. $59, they went to the memorial. But don't quote me. I would have to look it up. I'd have to look at my red book quick. I think 59 might be a transitional year too, where there were some wheats and some memorials. I could be wrong. I have been known to be mistaken. I use that saying every now and then with my kids. I've never been wrong, but I have been mistaken. This is a kind of this. Okay, so like right now, other than the D not being real good, was it 58? Littlefoot. Hey, Littlefoot, was 58 transitional then? Was it dual, or was 58? Or am I right in 59 was actually dual in the transition year? 58 was the last full year of wheats. Good to see you, Littlefoot. So this ain't a bad looking 82 right now, where we're at, other than the fact that the mint mark is not great. But we'll see how the obverse of this one stays. One way I look at it always is their definition. Is there still separation between the top of the letter and the rim? You know, that's one way I look at some of these older nickels. That's not a bad that's not a bad 82 obverse there. There's a little bit. I think it was an ender at some point. I just Googled it real fast while I was laying here. It looked like it was a hard stop. 09 to 58. I thought 59 was like you could have some wheats, but you might have, but you will also, that was the year they transitioned at some point in the year to the memorial. I could be completely wrong. I don't know. It looked like it might have been a little bit of an ender. This ain't a bad looking 82. This might be a keep depending on what the reverse looks like. Ooh, and that field looks pretty decent. Not great steps. And obviously, the Monticello is always effed up. You know, it's the highest point on the coin. It's never going to be great. You know, in these, there's a bad contact mark there. But not bad for an 82. I mean, a lot of nice field. I'm going to set it aside just because it's probably one of the better 82s you're going to come across. So I'm going to set that aside. Yeah, it's good to see you, Littlefoot. Hey, I don't think you've been in here since I've started this whole Streamlab thing. You recognize it all from Lucky Luke's stream? I developed some of the stuff he has in his stream. I have all the same commands, and you're accumulating points, which is, I called them coins. And you can gamble, you can slots, you can do the magic 8-ball thing. You can do the heist thing. So anything that you're familiar with in Lucky Luke's stream is probably in mine now too. Yeah, I'm actually liking it because, like, okay, so like the Streamlab thing that just came up. So in slots, I changed all the results in the slot game to, I think there's nickels, pennies, quarters, and dollars that will come up when you play slots. And if you get 3 of a kind, then that is going to trigger me essentially hunting one roll of that type of coin. So that's kind of like how that goes. So like if you were to play slots, and you hit dollar, I'm gonna grab a dollar roll and hunt a dollar roll. Change points to coins. Oh, okay, so top hours work, yeah. But when you did points there, Little, you need to do coins. And I'm gonna go, because you subscribed long time ago. I'm gonna give you the 20 points or the 20 coins that you would get upon subscribing. So I just have to end up having you show up. Use coins instead of points. Exclamation coins. I changed the points to coins. I'm almost positive I did. Yeah, and then I got another thing that I think it costs you 100 coins, and if you use the command Go Pack Go, it'll trigger me to open a football pack of cards. Coins with an S. I'm just looking at it. It's coins with an S. There you go. Yeah, see, I'm gonna dump you a handful of them. Just because you've been around, you know, you've been around for a long time. So you would have got 20 off of you would have gotten 20 off of just subscribing. So I'm gonna dump you a bunch. And actually, I'm going to do the same thing for Raz, because Raz has been here for a long time too. Well, before I started any of this Streamlab stuff. I think I upped you and Raz both to 200. The only one that are above either of you two is Tim, but that's because he's sat around in the stream for 6 total hours. Of course, Raz ain't that far behind Tim. Raz has got 4.4 hours logged. Oh yeah, I forgot. Or did I tell you? I said there was Heist, right? I think I mentioned Heist is there. I have a couple well, yeah, really the only custom command is the Go Pack Go. For opening a football pack of cards. I think I have that set at a cost of 100 coins to utilize that command. Yeah, I have a habit of keeping all my coins. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. I keep more than I probably should. Although I was just talking to Raz that one of the cool things about this hobby is, if you can kind of get in the system of like turning coins back into the bank, you essentially spend very little money, playing in this hobby. But I do understand the difficulty of wanting to, I have a little bit of a penny hoarding thing going on. Just because of what we're going to go through here in the next year or so with the pennies. It's like, I don't know, do I want to get rid of a bunch of my pennies yet? So I think pennies are one of the things that I'm really not turning in as consistently right now. From looking at them from here, probably 10. I'm probably sitting on 10 small dollar rolls right now. Small dollar coin rolls. That's the other thing, Raz, that, you've heard me, probably say before, I don't buy boxes. I'm not like a lot of the guys on YouTube that, buy a $500 box of nickels and then hunts it for a video. I just don't. At any one time, I probably got, 40 rolls of nickels, and I've probably got, I might have 28 rolls of pennies, and I might have 15 rolls of dollars, and 15 rolls of quarters and stuff. I never do a box like a lot of the YouTubers do. Because like I said, I'm not actually doing hunts for the sole purpose of making a standalone video on it. My hunt is alive. What ends up being a standalone video is the bangers video on the channel, and that's cut out of that live hunt of just probably the biggest 3 or 4 hits of the hunt stream that I do, and that ends up being anywhere from a 3 to a 7, maybe 10-minute video. But I'm not making a video of actual hunts. If you want to see the full hunt, you have to go to the live. You have to go to live, watch live. What'd you get, little? You got $1 skull and a penny. I'm trying to decide if I take the skulls. I'm trying to decide if I take the skulls out of the slot game and just leave the coins in. Because the skull is the one thing that's still in the coin game that isn't essentially a coin. Yeah, Raz. Yep. They're $25 rolls, so you got 25 coins in it. And it will be a mix between Sacagawea and Presidents. And probably my favorite dollar. Well, I definitely have it ranked over Sacagawea. And I have it ranked over most of the presidential dollars other than Grant and maybe Hayes. But it will be a mix of Sacagawea presidential dollars and Susan B. Anthony's. There are some cool low mintage Susan B. Anthony's you can get. I just hit the other week on a roll. Oh, there you go. You doubled on a gamble there, little. I think the 99 Susan B. Anthony is like an 11 million minted coin. So it's a low minted coin, I mean, I just think people should like it more, but I understand it. Three more nickels in the 80s, and then we'll move to the 70s. Did I lose a light in here? It seems like it got dark. Maybe I didn't. I don't know why it seems dark. I had Luke in here the very first night that I installed the Streamlabs little. And he was kind of helping me with a lot of because I didn't really know how a lot of it worked and stuff. So he was kind of helping me like adjust like the payouts and stuff to different things. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to keep doing Backwoods After Dark, at least as a stream title. I don't know what I would end up doing there. Ooh, you almost got a penny. You almost triggered a penny roll. Little. Yeah, I figured having slots trigger like a opening during one of these scoping streams or during a Backwoods After Dark stream. I figured that'd kind of be like a cool thing to kind of have as an interactive thing. Like somebody could end up, triggering that one coin roll opening. Raz, I saw that today. I was watching the Coin Vault live YouTube channel, and I did see the sunflower coin, and it does look cool. They were selling a gold one on the video I was watching, Coin Vault, where you can order stuff from. I like to have them on live a lot of times. And they were selling a gold one. I don't remember how big it was, but it was like $4,000. I don't know if I even looked to see how big of a coin it actually was, though. But it was they wanted $4,000 for it, it was. I want to believe it was a PCGS MS-70. One ounce. Oh, it was all a 1 ounce. It was a good size. It was a good size coin in a PCGS holder. And I love how that, I walk around the house. It drives my wife absolutely crazy, but I walk around the house going, put it on the toupee. $9.99 a day, $9.99 this day next month. You're only going to know what that is if you watch the Coin Vault. Put it on the toupee. Everything I buy, I tell my wife, I'm putting it on the toupee. There is a silver one too. Yes, I believe it was a high relief coin too, if I remember right. If you don't know what the toupee is, I suggest watching the Coin Vault video or the Coin Vault channel. There are some people that are like dead set against the Coin Vault, probably because of prices and stuff. I like watching them. I've never ordered anything yet, but someday I'm guessing they're gonna have something I want. But yeah, if you don't have the Coin Vault on your YouTube subscription list, put them on and you'll know what I'm talking about. Put it on the toupee. He took a... First one that you really like, Raz? I've got a commemorative coming. It's going to be an opening. I thought maybe it would get here today. It might get here tomorrow. I'm figuring it's more going to be Monday. But it will be an opening video, a standalone on the channel. And it's a commemorative, but it's a commemorative that I've wanted for a long time. And it's raw, so it's not going to be great, but it's like, I also know it's a commemorative coin that I'm going to get multiple of over time. So I'll leave that one at that until I get it and do an opening. I've got a couple of them like watched on eBay that are actually graded versions. So I'm just kind of deciding, how high of a grade of it do I want. Raz, you and me either talked about it before or you're just a good guesser. I'm guessing I mentioned the fact that I do want a stone mount. So yes, it is going to be a stone mount. But like I said, it's raw. It's probably not a high grade version. It was a good price for a raw coin as the first one. I want to say I paid like with shipping. I think I was like around $40 on it. So no MS for sure. Or maybe it's better than what I actually saw in the video or in the whatnot stream. I don't know. I might be surprised. Who knows? Maybe I got a deal on it. You're only about an hour and a half from Stone Mountain. That's cool. All right, let's do the 70s. I gotta change this to see. I think I'm gonna get rid of the skull and crossbones on the slots game there, Littlefoot. Not a fan of the Grant commemorative. I think they did them dirty on that one, but at some point I might have to get that Grant. Yeah, well, I thought it was a good deal because it looked like it still had good definition and good detail and stuff. So we'll see what it looks like when I get it. Did I get a little bit of a deal on it? And maybe it should have been a $60 coin, or did I overpay and it was probably closer to a $25, $30 coin? We'll see how it comes out. I think I'm going to take that skull and crossbones out of the slot game there. Littlefoot. I just don't know if I like it in there. I don't remember where the settings are to do it though. I'll have to do it for the next stream. I'll fix it before tomorrow's stream. All right, I got to look at my 70s. A little bit more to look for in the 1970s. There's a 70S. That is not short minted, but if I remember right, that's got a pretty high mintage. Not a bad looking 70 though. And I usually keep all my S's anyways, so. Typical Monticello wear, a couple steps are there. Like the other side with the log cabin. I actually like. I'm a fan of both sides of it actually. Oh, you know what? I could keep skull and crossbones and maybe that should be a better hit than even just $3. Yeah, a lot of times I think of proof too, but this is definitely not a proof coin. I don't think this was ever a proof coin. Is there a little double rim on that? Little double rim on it. Up to that point there. So about 2 o'clock. Nice heavy double rim there, and then it goes away down there. And then you get the nice sharp thin one there. Come up and it starts to get bigger. So this is going to be a save. There's no errors on it, but because I always save the S's. Tough bunch at the island. No, what was I saying? Maybe 3 skull and crossbones on slots, Littlefoot, should be a nickel, penny, and dollar. Like one of each of them, a little bit longer of a roll crack. What do you think of that? Or what should 3 skull and crossbones trigger? One of at least 3. Nickel, penny, dollar, or nickel, penny, quarter. Winner's choice. I like that idea. We'll go winner's choice on 3 skull and crossbones. That's what we'll do. Winner's choice, 3 out of 4. So essentially let the winner say 2 pennies and 1 quarter, or like whatever combination of 3, right? Am I gonna hunt the wily bro? Yes, at some point I'm going to. I should look it up. I think so. I hunt in Wisconsin, and I think the Wisconsin small game Minnesota opened up last weekend. They're a little bit earlier, but I think Wisconsin opens up essentially tomorrow. But we are in the middle of 3 days of rain here, so I ain't going in the woods probably for the next couple days at least. All right, that's what it is then, Little. 3 skull and crossbones will be the winner's choice of 3 rolls. They pick what 3 roll combination I hunt. $75. I'm still looking for this 75 high D. I do not have a high D nickel yet. Another time that I think it's got rotation and it's just me doing a goofball flip on it. I think it's going to be a pretty good season out around our property and stuff. Because I this year I probably saw more young ones like on the road and stuff as I was going out to the cabin and stuff than I probably have in the last couple years. So I think the population's going to be in pretty good condition, as long as a lot of those young ones didn't get killed off by fox and some of the wolves that are around. Could have been, well, that's definitely machine doubling, but typically you typically won't see any problems with grouse. There's an 80 that ended up in the wrong jar at the time of a hunt. No, grouse tend to stay pretty clean, at least up here in the north. I mean, I don't know what they're like out west and stuff, but it's funny how my wife won't eat grouse, but she'll eat chicken. I'm like, it's probably a better eat than chicken, and it's probably healthier. But because it was game, and I mean, she's not a meat eater in the first place. She typically doesn't eat meat a whole lot, but she won't eat anything that's. I married a city girl. In the true sense of the word. Wolves gotta eat too. You are correct, Raz. Boy, that looked like dye deterioration there happening. Yeah, you and I little understand it, but I ain't never gonna make her understand it. I will say you can mess grouse up if you like do it wrong. You know, because grouse can be very, very dry. Like, much drier than any dry chicken. But if you get grouse done right, and a lot of times I think the best way to do it is like the slow cooker, like a crock pot. With, you know, potatoes and carrots and whatever you like. Yeah, exactly, Raz. Mrs. Backwoods is civilized. But put it in a crock pot for however long you want to, you know, and then it tends to be, you know, in whatever your stew mixture might be. Then you kind of get away from that. It being too dry, where like if you just try to fry it like you fry chicken, you're probably going to end up with a real dry bird. Or something you're going to have to douse with some type of sauce. But yeah, you know, you are right, Raz. She is all of a city girl. Not a bad condition 78. A little bit of chatter in the bus there. The reverse looks terrible. Monticello ain't even, the building's in bad shape. The obverse looked pretty decent though. But we're not saving it. I don't know, Raz. Now I'm thinking I might get it. This might end up being closer to the 4 hours than I thought it was going to be. 73 Philly. Is there anything on a 73 Philly? No. Not in my notes anyways. Has the stream buffered at all tonight? I'm just curious because I keep getting the same error every time I stream. But I don't think it affects the stream, which is odd. I'm just wondering if it's ever buffering or like low quality. Littlefoot, if you're still here, you're pushing towards 1,000 subscribers, aren't you? Top of the Monticello don't look too bad for a 73. Absolutely no steps. Time flies when you're out of your mind. This wasn't a considering keeping, was it? No, not really. Nope. I thought you were pushing. Well, you're over 500, aren't you? Oh, nope was to the stream. Oh, okay. I thought the nope was to you're not pushing 1,000 subscribers on your channel. If I did pores, like silver pores, I don't even want to get into that. Yeah, that's what I thought you were like. I knew you had broke 500. I got a little ways to go to hit 5. I should do something for 500 subscribers. So I've been thinking, I'm like, I'll do some kind of giveaway or something. I just got to figure out how to do it. Ugh, this is terrible. You don't see many nickels pre-80s that tend to keep a good condition, I'll tell you that. Jeez, go get some sleep, man. Do you get most of your subscribers off of shorts? I guess I don't pay that much attention where most of mine come from. 75D, but not the high D. I know I gained a lot of subscribers off that one gun video I did. In fact, I think a lot of my subscribers, if I was to look, came off that gun video. kind of a good shape reverse. Did the front look good enough to keep it? Looks pretty good there. A little messed up T and truss. It's really not a bad 75, to tell you the truth. I think I will set it aside. Maybe put it in my 1970s nice tube. Well, you know, another one that is in the wrong jar. You know, and that's really the thing, I think, about having a channel too, Littlefoot, though. It's like, I would almost, well, like the channel, that video that's on the channel front page, the trailer. I would rather have a handful of subscribers that, you know, are what I call regulars, you know, because I do so much streaming versus like video, like standalone recorded video, that, you know, like you just said, you know, 75% of your subscribers, then 10,000 subscribers, you know, because subscriber count does not at all, in my opinion, does not at all correlate to anybody ending up in your stream or anybody even watching videos. I mean, it just doesn't, I don't think it correlates. See, I think 600 viewers with 17,000 subscribers is probably a pretty good ratio for a live. I mean, that's impressive. I don't believe I have him on my watch list. You know, because I've seen some, and I'm talking coin guys like me and you. I've seen some guys that have multi thousands of subscribers, like you said, 18,000, you know, 20 some thousand subscribers, and really their stream is still only getting, you know, 10 to 20 people in it at a time. A lot of your subs that you don't know come from other big names. Yeah, it makes sense. I don't know, maybe I'm not approaching things right mentally too, though. I mean, maybe I should be more concerned over subscriber count. Look at this beauty. I'm not even looking at this. Yeah, I know, Raz, you said that. I think you said that the first night you were in here. I remember you using the same exact comment. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not doing YouTube to blow up, make money. I don't care, I guess. Maybe it's the wrong approach. I don't know. Nick, do you have proof sets? Like, do I have proof sets in my collection, or do I have proof sets that I would sell? And And yeah, hello Nick, welcome. I just happened to see a different name there other than the two that have been here most of the night. I have some proof sets. I'm a big cracker, if that makes sense of proof sets. I like to take proof sets and crack them and essentially break them apart to end up with the individual coin. I don't think I'm in the minority there because I think a lot of people do that and then send coins from proof sets in for grading. Like, what's that number? That's number 2 for the stream, right, Raz? I think I might have even zoomed the camera when I did that. Nah, maybe I didn't. I think that's number 2 knocked the camera off the... Just got my first 8 mainly from the 2000s, and you'll crack them. I think I got a video on the channel where I cracked a proof set only because I wanted the Susan B. Anthony out of the set. But like, so these were, I cracked this just the other day. What was it? This 2 sets? In fact, I think the silver proof quarters in my whatnot marketplace actually came out of the crack in those sets. I just can't keep a set together. I don't know. I just think it's what you want. You know, Raz and I were talking earlier tonight, you know, it's like, it's how you want to collect. You know, if you like it in a complete set, then keep it in the set. I don't think there's any right or wrong way of dealing with proof sets. I just personally like to crack them. And I understand, and I probably side with the side of cracking them and then, you know, sending them in and getting those graded, because obviously those are going to be your best shots at high grades. Yeah, see, I don't want to say I'm not going to say I don't like silver, because I do like silver, you know. But I don't think it's a main focus in how I collect and stuff. I'm probably more focused on the numismatic side of things. And like, see, I think like cracking a 1940 something nickel out of a nickel coin roll, I get more excited about maybe that than even finding a silver whatever. Where Littlefoot probably is on the complete opposite side of me. He's a silver guy. If you're not subscribed to Littlefoot, Nick, go subscribe to Littlefoot. You will learn your silver over there. Nothing really to look at 73s. Oh, wait. 73D's got a repunched mint mark, but it's supposed to be a strong second D to the north, and that is too much circulation. If I was to put myself in a box as a collector, a little correct, I am on the other side. I would say I'm a date hunter because I like finding the old stuff. Only for the fact that it's old, not just because it's pre-64. And I'm an heir, or I call it an anomaly hunter, which is why if you hang around here a lot, you're seeing a lot of scoping streams where we're looking at a whole lot. What did I say last night, Raz? I do a whole lot of looking at nothing for one little something. Yeah, Littlefoot. I know you're a big constitutional fan. Well, you're, and I would even say not so much. I don't think you need to put yourself in the box of being just a constitutional fan. You're a fractional fan, and constitutional will fall into the fractional bucket. Cool, thanks, Nick. I don't know why it didn't give me a notification. But if you're saying you sub to me, thank you. I usually have a notification that hits, but could be slow too. I don't know. Who knows? Or I could have something. I could have a setting that's not making it happen. Demir, hi, I recently got a box of pennies. I believe all of them are uncirculated 2024D. Here's me personally, if I figured they were all uncirculated throughout the roll or throughout the box, I'm guessing you're saying, I wouldn't touch it because there's, not unless you're like me, and this is going to sound goofy because I just said don't touch it, but not unless you're kind of like me and there's something on a 2024D to truly look for from an error side, and I'd have to look. But there probably isn't a whole lot on it. Nothing on a 2024D is hitting me off the top of my head. So if that's what you think, I'd just sit on them. And let time pass. That'd just be me. Even though I am an error hunter and a anomaly hunter. But just knowing that there's probably not a lot on a 2024D to look for, why crack it? Pennies be made for proof sets even though they'll be discontinued in 26. I don't know, and I guess I can't speculate. Littlefoot, unless you've heard something, or Raz, I don't know if maybe you've heard more than me on, it almost makes sense to me that would happen. I mean, I could see the mint doing that. I don't know, some of this Streamlabs stuff might not be working too well there, so I'm going to give Nick, I'm going to go into the backside settings and give Nick his 20 coins for subscribing, because it doesn't look like it dumped those off to you. Well, don't take it to heart, man. It's just me giving my opinion, which ain't worth 2 pennies in the grand scheme of things. There's one thing, if there is advice that I will give you, don't ever listen to a random guy on YouTube. That I did hear too, Little. I heard that there is going to be production at some extent into 2026. So like that whole FOMO thing of like it's done. It's not true probably. You probably will see 2026 production to some extent. That's my anticipation anyways. But it does, to me, make sense that, you know, like, even once you got done with whatever the production into 2026 is going to be, it makes sense to me that, you know, why wouldn't the Mint say, hey, let's produce some Mint sets for it, you know? So you'll end up seeing some 2026 penny Mint sets. Or they'll be 2026 Mint set pennies in a Mint set. I guess that's the way I should have said it. I mean, I agree with the guys too that are saying, you know, just because you're going to discontinue the penny production at some point in 2026, let's call it first quarter or something. I think a lot of people are forgetting the fact that you're still going to have pennies around for a long time. It ain't like they're disappearing, you know, in 2 years. You're going to have pennies around in circulation and stuff. The only thing that would, in my opinion, like somewhat, what do I want to say, make them not as prevalent in circulation is if they did that whole thing where the country started rounding the prices of everything to where pennies didn't make any sense to be transferring them or using them in cash transactions anymore. Then they kind of become obsolete and they don't have a purpose. But if they don't do something like that with the prices of things to where where they round everything up or round everything down, I saw videos about that type of stuff. If they don't do that, you're still going to have people that like cash transactions are still going to be circulating pennies for 10 years at least, easily, in my opinion. So this whole thing of like pennies are disappearing, I don't buy into. It'd be cool if they made a 250-year anniversary. Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if that actually happens. I think that could be something that you actually see happen. I'm just looking to see if I'm missing some penny pinchers and penny pitchers. Yep, exactly, Raz. Just seeing if I'm missing like stream notifications and stuff. I don't think I am. I know the more I mess around with that and not look at coins, the longer the stream ends up being. Littlefoot, have you done a command anytime in the last little bit to see if they're still working? Because this is, let's see if I test it here. This is a YouTube subscriber alert. I don't know who Kevin is. I think that's just a name. So they're loaded. I don't know. I guess it doesn't matter. I get sucked up into tinkering with settings and get away from coins. Yeah, Raz. Now it's going to be a 4-hour stream. Well, maybe not. 3-hour stream. Probably 3 hours. I get off on sidetracks and I might have to go get another cup of coffee, actually. I might have to put up the old be right back screen. I don't know if anybody's still in here. $79 gonna look kind of good. Don't look bad. Seen worse. I'm guessing Littlefoot probably went and crashed, or he fell asleep at his computer, or with his phone in his hand, or however he was watching. Is it just me, or is anybody else a little surprised that there was no special nickel in 76? It's not a bad looking 76. on the obverse. Steps are gone. Ah, 71. I think the 70s were just, as a whole, better coins than the 80s in like quality. Nick's still here. Yeah, that's weird. Oh, here's Raz and I were talking about it earlier. Here's the downside to YouTube streaming. I will say something and it won't get to you guys with because of the delay, and then somebody will make a comment that has something to do with something I said way back, but I picked up on that's weird. That was to me saying, making that comment about 76 not having a particular special nickel. I've said that for a long time now. I'm like, how does the nickel not end up with a bicentennial version? It's obviously an ender. Probably, oh boy. Seen better days. Probably 25, maybe 30 nickels here left in the 70s. You would think I'll find at least the die chip at some point here. I think you're exactly right, Nick. I think that's, you probably are right point on, where they only really cared about the bigger size coins and stuff that had the surface space to do something kind of cool. Nothing. I don't know if there's a real good looking 70s coming up anywhere or not. We might just have a bunch of whole hum 70 nickels that are going back to the bank. Well worn 74. Probably not even worth looking at the reverse too much. Gets quiet in here without Littlefoot playing all the games, gambling all his coins away. Another one that made it into the wrong jar. I don't know if there's anything on it. 80. I was going to say, wow, a couple steps, but this is an 80. $72D. I have some kind of weird note about an obverse horizontal bar of the 2. No, it's definitely not there. Kind of cool how this kind of, all the low surfaces kind of darkened, and then the high relief or higher stuff stayed light. Not worth saving, though. No reason to save it, I guess. I'm just looking at settings again. Doesn't make any sense that some of that doesn't work, but leave it to Streamlabs to not always work flawlessly. Time is it? Almost 11. Now I'm down to about 20 nickels left. I haven't looked, but I'm guessing this is probably an 80s that got in the wrong jar because this strike looks a little too good. Oh no, it's a 78. Well, it's close to an 80. I should go get another coffee. All right. I don't know if there's anybody hanging out. I have no idea. I am going to go grab a coffee. I will be right back if there's anybody hanging out. Less than 5 minutes. Lemonade. No more Keurig cups in the house. I'm not drinking my daughter's espresso. I won't sleep at all. Terribly circulated 72. Well, basically, all these nickels have already been like sorted into their decades. That's why I'm like, you're seeing all 70s. And now I'm just doing a scope on them. So these all came out of like a coin roll hunt stream at some point, probably a week ago or whatever it was. And they weren't essentially hits right out of the roll. So they get sorted into their decades and stuff. And then at some point I'll sit and do a long stream of just kind of scoping a certain decade or 2 decades worth. And I'm just looking for die chips or die cracks now on these. Or if there's a known double die on the obverse or the reverse or something like that, I'll check for that. But a lot of the times I'm just checking these general coins just for some type of anomaly that, it could be a die chip in the F or something like that, Something that wasn't essentially found when I hunted it out of a roll. Because it was essentially it wasn't a year that got pulled as like essentially a hit during the hunt. Typically the only things that get like pulled out of the hunt as a hit are, older coins, NIFCs for the $1, older pennies or something. I've always said, so like these streams that I do like this, probably a little bit, they're longer streams because a lot of times I'll do this for 2 or 3 hours. But I've always said these are a little bit more boring streams because essentially I'm looking at a whole lot of nothing to find a little something, if that makes sense. Because you look at more and come up with nothing, then you do find something. Where like when you see like a stream that I'm doing where I'm actually hunting the rolls, it's a little more interesting because I'm opening the rolls and seeing what's in the rolls and typically getting some old coins and, whatever would be considered a hit out of a coin roll hunt. And I was explaining to Raz way early tonight, you'll always know what kind of stream it either is if you kind of catch me being live, or you'll know what kind of stream it was on the replay by the the thumbnail of the video. Because if it's a scoping stream, like the thumbnail for this one, it's got a big nickel up in the left-hand corner, and it's got a nickel on the screen of the scope on the thumbnail. Where if it's a hunt stream, you'll know it because it'll be coin roll hunting, and it'll typically be more specific that I'm hunting some rolls. And my streams usually are pretty quiet. I mean, there's usually, I got what I call the regulars that come and hang out while I do it. Which a lot of times it's me, Raz. It was me and Raz for the first hour or more in here, just BSing. Then Littlefoot showed up. And then not too long after Littlefoot showed up, and I noticed you in the chat. I think you showed up right when I was talking about, like, my mindset for YouTube is not to blow up as a channel. It's just to kind of have fun and have another way to interact with the coin hobby. And I actually think it's kind of cool when it's, I stream for 3 hours and there's been 4 or 5 people that have kind of just wandered through, in that 4 hours. 4 hours isn't the typical stream though, even for a scoping stream. I try to keep them to 2 hours, but I usually go into a stream with like a goal of like getting through. If I switch over here, these are the little jars that things, certain decades, like this is 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000 to 2009, 10 to 19, and then any 2020s. So I'll typically have like a goal that I'm like, okay, I'm going to do 70s and 80s of nickels, which was what I was doing tonight. Where another stream might be, I'm going to do, try to work down the jar of 90 pennies. Raz is still here. I'm gonna try not to do 4-hour streams. Typically, I'd like to do 2-hour streams. I mean, I guess it doesn't. See, here's an 80 that was in the 70s jar. I've had like 4 of these wrong jarred nickels. I guess it doesn't matter how long the streams really are. I mean, who wants to hang out is going to hang out, and who passes through, I guess. And well, I was telling you, wasn't I, Raz, that kind of like what I'd like to do is like stream 2 or 3 nights a week and maybe do just one jar, even if the jar's full. Just to do one jar is probably only going to take an hour and a half. And if I do that a couple nights a week, that will keep my jars kind of down to the point where I can continually hunt too. I don't know. It's a process. I'm still figuring it out. The one thing about live streams, though, is I don't think live streams get any replay views for the most part. I think whoever shows up during the live, and I don't think a lot of people are going to sit and watch a 2-hour live stream of me doing this when it's not live, like on the replay. They might get a couple clicks if I, look at the numbers or something, but they ain't getting no like watch hours. mixed with the Stone Mountain. Well, the Stone Mountain's going to probably be a 5-minute video as by itself. Just, I probably won't even open that on a live. I'll probably just actually do that opening. It'll be a mail day opening video as a video on the channel. And I am ending every stream, whether somebody triggers a football pack opening or not. I am going to end every stream with a football pack opening. Yeah, I probably will scope it actually, since it's a raw coin. So that could be a 10-minute video where I open it and then scope it. Or I might just get lazy and open it on a live stream and scope it on a live stream as you guys hang out, Raz, and then just pull it out of the live stream as a posted video. Cut it out, you know. Circulated. What I got? About 10 nickels left. And then I think I'll do 10 wheat pennies. Then I'll do the football pack opening. And then I'm calling it a stream. I'll grab 10 wheat pennies from the wheat penny bag. Good you mentioned that though, Raz, about scoping it. I will scope it. So that'll definitely, if I just do it as a video, that'll definitely push it to at least a 10-minute mail day opening video. Boy, I must have been really bad with hitting those two jars, because this is another 80s that essentially was in the 70s jar. I ain't even looking at the reverse of that one. That one's terrible. I didn't think you were still hanging out, Raz. I'm pretty confident Littlefoot is passed out. He hasn't slept in 24 hours. See, another 76. That it's like, why didn't they do something special on the nickels? You know. Granted, Nick made the good point. I think that they didn't do anything for the nickels because the bigger coins have more opportunity to do something cool with space-wise. You are in and out? Okay, that's what I kind of figured. I know you were kind of an in and out viewer, so I know you kind of come and go. I don't know who else is streaming on the coin front tonight. I don't know if Nick is, or not Nick, Luke. Let me check on my big screen here. Usually Luke doesn't stream this late, though, I don't think. I think he goes significantly earlier. Yeah, there's another good thing that, and I do typically, I'll do that with a lot of the videos, is I'll turn them into shorts, but I just ain't that ambitious, you know? I mean, that's the problem with me and my channel, is it's like sometimes I'll get the ambition to take a video and cut a short out of it, and sometimes I don't. Nope, Luke is not on. Looks like he was yesterday's stream is the last one he did. Large with the design, yeah. You made, like I said, that was a really good point, Nick, that they probably just were like, why do it on a nickel? It's such a small coin. You know, and what else? There's nothing on the dime, right? There's nothing on the penny. There's no bicentennial designs on it, penny, dime, or nickel, right? If I'm not mistaken. Or am I not thinking of a coin? Not even going to look at that one. Because the quarters got it. Well-known quarter. They did a reverse on the Kennedy half. And they did a reverse on the Ike. There is no dollar. I don't think there's a dollar bicentennial. Not in the sense of Sacagawea or Susan B. Anthony. Not wasting my time. Yeah, I have a love-hate relationship with quarters, Nick. I like them because they're so fun to search and to scope and to look at. But I also, and I love them because there's so much on them to find. In die chips and, you know, doubling and stuff like that. There's so much to look for. I hate them in the sense that some of them are so busy in the design that sometimes it's hard to like get a good thorough look at it, if you know what I mean. You know, because it's so busy of a design on the reverse. Another one that was the wrong jar. I must have put like 10 80s in the 70s jar at some point during hunting. So it's like I love quarters and I hate quarters. The 1876 coinage did nothing to celebrate the centennial. I wonder if that's just because they didn't in their minds, they didn't have the mindset of history and stuff at that point yet. If that makes any sense what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? It's like it wasn't a thing at that time in history to be like, oh, let's celebrate 1776. 70S. We keep all the S's. It's ironic that that's the last nickel of the night. I don't think this has any significance of mintage. I think it's in the billions, actually, or at least 100 million area. Good point, Raz. They did just have a big war. They probably had other things they were worrying about. Your oldest coin is an 1888 cent right now. I think my oldest is an 1830 something. I think these are my two oldest. $1831. And then an 1847. I think these are my two oldest coins across all the denominations. Let's see, I was looking at 70S. I think it's a couple hundred million. Or a couple hundred million. $241 million. That's what I thought. But we keep them just because I don't see a lot of S's, and I kind of got a roll of S's going. All right, let's grab 10 wheat pennies. Do 10 wheat pennies, and then we'll do a pack of football cards and call it a night. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 wheat pennies. See if we can find any die chips. I think most of this collection that I got is mostly 40s and 50s. I don't know if there's anything that much older. 400 AD. Is it slabbed? Like by one of the grading companies and like labeled as that, or is it loose? I think it's time to change the mat out too. Maybe next stream. This mat's been on the desk for a significant amount of I always have to look at my notes when we're this far back in the years. .44 has a D over S, but it is not there. Now I always like to go a little slower when I'm looking at these older ones, just because you never know what you're going to come across. Probably is a little better to watch too. It doesn't give you a headache as I'm spinning coins by the screen. I tend to find a lot of die chips in the wheat stocks. Unless it's kind of like a semi-significant size, it's probably not worth keeping. I don't see anything on that 44. bought it off the bid board. Didn't have one. There's a 56D. Has a D above shadowed D, and it's not there. I don't see anything else with going on with the date. Stuck out on that one. $54D. I don't have anything in my notes. We'll just see if there's anything. That looks like a thread. Yep. $46D. There's an S over D, but not there. $58. There is a double diavers, but I think it's on the Philly. I've heard the coin talked about a couple different times. It's a no mint mark. It's supposed to be a D, but it's not there. As far as I know, I'd have to Google it and look it up in my red book to know for sure what it's referring to. Let me try something quick. I'm just looking. Yeah, it just says it's a 22 Lincoln weight cent struck at the Denver Mint, which should have a D mint mark, but with the mint mark completely missing due to polishing off damage from worn dies. there's certain things you got to look at on the 22 though to determine whether it was that coin. There's like different identifying marks from what Google is saying here. I know I've seen videos on it and stuff. End up typing it. It hotkeys my hit button and stuff. I'm guessing the rifle shot went off too when I hit that key. All right, four more wheat pennies, and then I'm going to do my closing pack of football card. Try to hit a Packer card. 52D. That is a heck of a scratch, but we are calling that a scratch and nothing more. Damage there. It's kind of odd. It was hit with something. Nothing on that one to worry about. $50D in a little bit brighter condition. Not worth a save, really, but straight up 46. One more. $18.40. I don't have no notes on a 40. Maybe a little bit of rotation? Or did I flip it wrong? I flipped it wrong. Which is usually what happens. All right, that was 10 Wheaties out of the unsearched Wheaties bag. Let's do one pack of football cards to end the night. What do we have? 2:59 exactly. 3-hour stream, Raz. Was only going to be an hour and a half. 2 at the most. So I went about an hour over what I... Call the pack, Raz. What do we got? 1 through 5? Three. 1, 2, 3. Nobody's spending their coins to force a pack opening during the stream. Of course, I don't know how often that notification comes up either. Got a pretty good hit last night out of the first pack of that box. Cannot complain about hitting Matthew Golden as a Packer fan. Rookies are on the front of these packs. I don't know why they do that. So we'll go back to front because the rookies start in the front of these packs. Did I see we getting something decent? For some reason, I don't know. Hard to tell. All right, first card's a Daniel Hunter. Texans. I don't know what's the easiest way to do this. I guess this way. And we're getting a Patty Mahomes. A Joe Thomas. Chop Roberts. Miami. Frank Louvu. Come on, focus. Washington. Devin Singletary. There we go. Tavian Wicks. He needs a big game on Sunday. We need him to have a big game on Sunday. For sure. We save all the pack. And hard sleeve them. So we got a hit out of the night. That's good. Put them under the scope. I actually turned the scope off, otherwise I would. Look for errors. A celebration TJ Watt. Insert. I think these are all going to be inserts of some sort, like special type of cards. Throwback. DK Metcalf. Jamar Chase on league leaders. 1,700 yards. Robert Mathis. Is that a rookie? Nope. I think our rookies are coming now. Oh, that's a green parallel. Border of the card. Andrew Makuba. Is that a rookie card? Okay, so here comes our rookies. Andrew Makuba. Kyle Williams. Don't know his name, don't strike me. Abdul Carter. I don't think there's any big name rookies coming out of this pack. And Jake Bringsteel. Kansas City, so. Well, we're 2 for 2 on the Packers for the pack, so. Give that one more. full pack.
Go, pack, go!
Last year, 39 receptions, 415 yards. He needed 5 touchdowns. We need a bigger year than that out of him this year, especially with Jaden Reed hurt right now. So, all right, I'm calling it a stream. 3-hour stream. Thanks for hanging out, Raz, all night long. Littlefoot, thanks for stopping in. Who else was here? We had Raz here all night. We had Littlefoot. Nick came in. Been hanging around last hour. Demir was in for a little bit. You never know with the rookie. Yeah, that's true. You never know. So, thanks everybody. I'm gonna hunt at some point this weekend. More likely tomorrow. Now that my jars are actually empty. I am out of here. Have a good night, Nick. Thanks for hanging out. Pleasure meeting you. Thanks for both you and Raz. Thanks for hanging out for as long as you guys did. We will talk to you next time. Have a good night.